Remember.
Henry, I have 10 minutes.
Oh, really, Daddy?
What do you want?
What I want is the story about the Polish girl
Which Polish?
on the train.
Oh, I don't like the story.
Oh, Daddy, don't tell me you don't like this
I
story.
don't like the story.
It's one of the most important stories that you've told me in terms of giving me a whole flavor of the time. And I need to know it for me. It's not going to be publicized or anything.
But you know the story, so what do
But
you
I don't know it. I don't know the right color of it, and I want to get the feeling of what that was like. And it's a really important story, and you don't have to give me detail, but the feeling is what I want.
There is a Russian saying, «Быстро, как волны все дни нашей жизни». Fast as a wave, you know, as a sea wave. A wave. Fast as waves are the days of our life. Что день, то к могиле все ближе наш путь. With every day we nearer to our grave. Умрешь, похоронят, как не жил на свете. You will die, they will bury you as if you never lived in this world. Быстры, как волны все дни нашей жизни. Fast as waves are the days of our life. It was after World War I. 6, 7 years later, 10 years later, I don't remember exactly. And I traveled in a train. The train was at this time so that people used to stay in the corridors. No place to sit, to stand. And I was standing there with my suitcase. And there was a compartment, a very funny company. A priest, a girl from a nurse in the army, and a private person, a woman in the compartment. And the priest looked out, addressed me, and asked, do I have a seat? I said, no.
Fortunately, we have room for one more in our compartment. Won't you join us?
Beg your pardon, that's very kind. Father, thank you very much. Ladies, how kind of you all, I must say.
Oh, now, please, it is you who are being kind. The train company insists on 4 per compartment. Here we are. If God had intended for only 3 to ride in comfort, he would not have made a cabin that makes into 4 berths.
Thank you, Father. Very nice of you, ladies. It would have been a long and uncomfortable night standing or squeezing in with all of those passengers.
Oh, yes, terrible how crowded these trains have become, especially before and after holidays.
We had defection in the ranks. Businessman who missed a train, Westlock. Please, have a seat.
Thank you.
Though he must have made his reservation months in advance.
Well, I suppose I should save some of my gratitude for him then, poor fellow.
Before the war, it was so luxurious to travel by train. When I was a young girl before the war, my parents and I used to take this train to Warsaw at least 3 times a year. And every New Year's, oh, it was so elegant then. And there were those wonderful years touring and Chekhov and Strindberg and all those other wonderful playwrights.
Oh, you're an actress, Madame Selmichi.
Was, my dear, was. Divine years, but then the war and everything changed, of course.
Yes, of course, everything changed.
But please do tell us, whose company do we have the pleasure of sharing today?
I beg your pardon, we're on my manners. My name is Semyon Sapir.
Welcome, Pan Sapir. My name is Madame Nadia Selmichi.
Pani Samachi.
And if I may have the pleasure of introducing your other travel companion, this is Nurse Cathy Arden. She's a nurse in our army. I'm proud to say. Proud as a Pole to have an army after almost a century without one.
Very pleased to meet you, Ponsapir.
Nurse von Puzik, the pleasure is all mine.
And I'm Father Alexandrov.
As you may have guessed, he is a priest.
Yeah.
And I must say, one of the most charming priests you are ever likely to meet.
We've only known each other 20 minutes, madam.
Oh, charm is charm, Father. And we learn in the theater to discern it within seconds of meeting someone.
Your Polish is very good, Ponsapir, but you're not a Pole, are you?
No, I'm not.
Russian?
Yes, very good. Russian is my mother tongue. I was born in a town called Proskuro in Ukraine, West Ukraine, not far from the border of your wonderful Poland. And though those Ukrainian nationalists insist on calling it Ukraine, well, as far as we were concerned, it was Russia.
Well, the Bolsheviks have their grip so firmly on your people now. I cannot pretend, as a Pole, that it breaks my heart to see the great Russian Empire be no more. It kept us Poles captive 120 years.
My father was so happy when Poland regained its independence after the war. How I wish he was still around to see just how far we've come in a decade.
Oh, dear. My poor child.
Yes, he would, I'm sure, have been proud of us. And of you, Nurse von Puzik. And of Poland. We can certainly sympathize with the suffering your Russian people have had to endure under that madman Lenin. And now that Georgian pervert, Stalin.
Father.
Oh, excuse me, lady.
Well, now, Father, I believe that Stalin studied to be a priest, did he not? In his native Georgia?
Well, yes. But a Russian Orthodox priest, not a Catholic.
I beg your pardon.
Not all priests are holy men, Ponsapir. The devil has many masks he wears. So lucky for you, you got out when you did.
Yes, very few people have managed to get out since the end of the Civil War. It is considered a terrible crime to want to leave now. I was lucky enough to leave early on before the borders were so sealed as they are today, but even then it wasn't easy.
Oh, I still hear terrible stories of people trying to get out now and being killed at the border 10 years later. It's so tragic.
Yes, unfortunately it still goes on today. I managed to get out only on my second try.
Really?
Yes, on my first attempt I was with my uncle, and sadly he was shot and killed as we swam across the border. I was actually captured and put in jail for a while, where they tried to convince me that I should become a true Bolshevik.
Oh, I hope to God they did not succeed.
Certainly cannot be faulted for not trying.
That must have been so difficult for you to be in a Bolshevik jail. How'd you get out, if you don't mind me asking? Didn't they send all capitalists and dissidents to Siberia? You would fall under a capitalist label, would you not? You don't look like a worker to me.
Oh, that's von Puzik.
Oh, sorry,
no,
Father.
it was a difficult time if you had anything that made them categorize you as a capitalist. It was a very broad label that they could apply to anyone whose family had more than a few rubles, owned any property, or employed any others.
Yes, but how did you get out of their jail, Ponsapir, if you don't mind me asking?
No, not at all. I was young and strong, and I volunteered for all of the physical work that they made us do in jail. Digging ditches, cleaning out garbage dumps, even washing out latrines after they had used them. Any of the jobs the others avoided, I simply volunteered for.
The pigs. How humiliating for you.
No, I must say I never felt personally humiliated. You see, if you don't allow yourself to feel humiliation, well, then no one can really humiliate you, can they? I simply volunteered for any physical activity and any mental activity.
Really? But why?
Well, to stay active. I saw what non-activity, what sloth all around me did to the other prisoners. It defeated them before the Bolsheviks could even get to them.
How very smart of you, Ponsapir, but what self-discipline that must have taken.
Keeping one's body fit, I can understand, but how does one keep one's mind from not going mad under such circumstances?
Many different ways. You do anything you can think of. Anything. One time I managed to bribe a guard to give me a pair of blunt scissors, and then I had my fellow inmates stand still for my beard trimming creations. It was quite a sight. One man who was a thief, I made him look like the Emperor of Austria, Franz Josef. And another man, the King of England. Oh, and another man, a forger. I made him look like Kaiser Wilhelm. It kept me active and distracted. And surprisingly, most of them enjoyed it. Well, actually, in some cases, I had to be quite persuasive.
I don't understand. You are a barber?
Oh, no, just someone who refused to let boredom get the best of me.
You were very intelligent. You kept your head. That is the most important thing a person can do in a difficult situation. Keep one's head.
I can just see it right now. Your jail cell full of miscreants, one with a beard like Emperor Franz Josef, another like King George of England.
Well, now, I didn't dare do Lenin, Trotsky, or Stalin,
No.
however.
Oh, good thinking.
They would not have been amused by that. Although I did do one man who was a compulsive pickpocket as the late Tsar Nikolai. They all loved that one, even the guards. And then one day, a political commissar came to our little prison and asked all of the prisoners, many of whom were thieves and rapists, not very nice customers at all, but several of whom were political or economic prisoners like myself, all now with these crazy beards and moustaches. And he asked each one of us if we believed that communism was the true way of the future. Now, some enthusiastically tried to say yes, to get on his good side. But he could tell that they were lying, and he kept testing them.
You? What did you do?
I told him what I really thought, Father, that communism is a wonderful idea, but a fantasy. People are too selfish and it would never work. Human beings weren't ready for it, weren't good enough for it, I argued. And so this young semi-peasant Soviet political commissar kept coming back to the prison to convince me. He could tell that the others who immediately agreed and pretended to be these good born-again communists were lying, and so he sent them off to long-term labor camps.
Oh, God rest their souls. You?
Well, with me, he kept coming back week after week to teach me, to explain. And slowly but surely, I saw the light. I saw that communism was the only true way. And so he freed me. He let me go, proud of his hard-won conversion, even bragging to the others of his accomplishment.
Fantastic. Well done. You let him believe that you saw the light, but not too quickly, so it would seem a genuine conversion.
Precisely. I was one of the lucky ones.
Well, you were one of the smart ones, I would say. Though I'm not sure that God would approve. False confessions are not God's way.
Well, my late husband was a very successful lawyer, and he always said, the only job is to win your case. He died in the war, but he would have loved to have heard of your remarkable and clever escape from the Bolsheviks. Bravo!
Oh, thank you.
Bravo! Bravo! Oh! Oh!
Thank you.
Bravo!
However, upon Sapir, something bothers me about your story.
What's that, Panamampuzi?
What Father Alexandrov said, how you lied to that political commissar to get him to believe that you had seen the light, that you had given up your belief in capitalism and become a true convert to communism. Doesn't lying, even in a good cause, do something bad to our moral soul?
Everyone lies to get what they want, Panamampuzi. In such a desperate situation, I mean. You owe no obligation of truth to those who are oppressing you, who are imprisoning you. It's your job to get free in any way that you can, don't you think?
Father Alexandrov, aren't we taught that our good Savior wouldn't lie to save his life? Even on the cross, he wouldn't deny who he was. Doesn't that mean something to the rest of us?
Oh, it certainly does, my dear. It certainly does. Though few of us are up to the great moral strength of our Lord and Savior. But we must pray for such strength in times of crisis.
Yes, well, thank you again for allowing me to join you in here. It would have been a long and uncomfortable night, and to find such excellent and delightful company is a great bonus indeed.
I'm surprised, Sapir, that you did not make arrangements for a private compartment before you traveled.
My secretary bought my ticket at the last moment. My plans had changed. And unfortunately, all of the private cars were already full.
Except ours. It's quite lucky for you. You have a secretary to make your arrangements. Not all of us have secretaries, Sapir.
Yes, very lucky indeed. I didn't mean to offend you, I assure you.
No.
You're not Bolshevik, are you, Panamampuzi? Should there be no employers, no employees?
One does not have to be a Bolshevik to believe that. Some of us just have to make our reservations for ourselves, that's all.
Just in time. Have you heard that British expression, saved by the bell?
Oh, I have. I've been to England twice, you know.
Ooh, what is it like? I've always wanted to go.
Oh, I'll tell you at dinner. I'm starving.
But unfortunately, I don't have a reservation for the dining car either.
Oh, dear.
That's not a problem. We don't even need to find you a spot. They allot 4 per compartment.
Yes, please join us, Sapir.
That's very kind of you, but I was just going to get something to eat from one of the vendors at the next stop. This is such a bother for all of you.
Oh,
No
no,
bother
no.
at all. Please, it'll be our pleasure. It's 2 hours before we get to the next stop. Come
Yes,
along.
please join us, Sapir.
Thank you. You're all very kind.
Not all of us Sapir. I was outruled when the good father and Madame Selmachi invited you to join us in the cabin. It's only fair to tell you.
Well, I can only hope that you come to regret your reluctance, Panamampuzi. as you learn to appreciate my more sterling qualities.
Children, please.
Oh, they're only flirting, Father. It's how they do it nowadays.
No. I wasn't
my
flirting.
daughter used to be like that.
Oh, your daughter?
Oh, fun and flirtatiousness. Yes, she's about your age. I'm going to Warsaw to visit with her to hopefully help get her out of a difficult situation. But I don't want to bore you.
No, not at all. Do you wish to talk about it?
Oh, that's very sweet of you, my dear. Perhaps later when we have a bit more privacy. Meanwhile, I'm starving.
My mother's family is from the Ukraine, where I was born. But my father came from far in the north, a town called Antipol in Lithuania. I visited my grandparents twice there when I was young. Long train ride. To us, it was all just Mother Russia. Gave me a lifelong love of traveling by train. It still makes me feel like a little boy somehow.
Well, I can still see a lot of that little boy in you now, Pontepier, if you don't mind me saying.
You do look like a northerner from up around the Baltic, if I had to guess.
Well, I suppose Lithuania would explain that. And probably why living now in Danzig. Oh, excuse me, Gdansk is so agreeable to me. It's those light summer nights, those northern breezes, you know.
My doctor has ordered me not to smoke, but if you'll
Oh,
excuse me,
Father.
I'm just going to have a taste.
Father.
Just a taste. Do you smoke, Pontepier?
No, I don't. But to tell you the truth, I do carry around a cigarette case. And because I don't smoke myself, I merely offer them to others. Would either of you ladies like one?
Oh, no, thank you, but what a shame not to use such a beautiful case. Would you like one, monsieur?
No, thank you.
Father? Madame Selmiche.
No, I never took it up. I'm still from the time when my mother would be horrified. Only prostitutes smoke in public, she would say.
Nor do I smoke. But wait a minute, Pontepier, you don't smoke, but you carry around such a beautiful case full of cigarettes and with your initials on the back, if I saw correctly.
Yes, it's a bit of a story. I don't want to bore you.
No,
no, please
stories
tell
are
us.
life, Pontepier. The good book begins with a story.
Very well, if you insist. As you know, I'm a businessman and somehow considered to be generally fair and objective.
If you do say so yourself.
Oh, yes, I know it's not terribly modest of me to say, but my reputation became sort of confirmed a few months ago when I was arbitrating a business disagreement. But you see, I'm a voluntary arbitrator for the Chamber of Commerce in Danzig.
Oh.
I beg your pardon. Gdansk, as you Poles call it.
We call it that because it's been called that for centuries, before it was grabbed by the Germans.
Well, yes, but the Germans lost the Great War, didn't they? And it's now in the hands of the League of Nations. And they call it the Freistaat Danzig.
The League of Nations, bandits. Some free state. They treat you as a criminal. If you're a Polish man of God crossing the border to what has always been known as Poland.
Someday it will be Gdansk again, I can assure you, Pontepier. Poland has a long memory, doesn't she, Father? As my father always used to say.
She certainly does.
Well, I'm Russian, so I'm neutral when it comes to these things, but I live there now, Danzig, Gdansk, if you will. And a case came to me where two distinguished gentlemen were in a heated business disagreement which seemed truly impossible to resolve. One man was a German, the other a Pole. Quite large sums of money were involved, but after some time I managed to come up with a solution which seemed to please both of the combatants. And they were full of compliments for me, calling it Solomonic.
What does that mean?
Oh, Solomonic, my dear Cathy, it's from the Bible, where King Solomon, the wisest of the wise, as it is written, has to make a judgment about a baby claimed by two mothers.
Oh my goodness, how did he decide it?
His decision was to split the baby in two, giving half to each mother.
How barbaric.
Whoa.
This King Solomon, he was a Jew?
Yes, it's in the Old Testament.
Only a Jew would come up with such a solution.
Really? Why is that?
How many reasons do I need?
I can give you a few. Your new Russia, the one that kicked you out, took your family's money, well, it's all run by the Jews. The communists are all Jews. Trotsky's Red Army, they're all Jews. Even Lenin's mother, now she was a Jew.
Now, what about Stalin, Father? Remember, he studied to be a priest, and he's running the entire communist empire now. So what do you suggest? Should we shoot all the priests? Perhaps you are a Bolshevik after all.
Well, there's quite a few priests I wouldn't mind if you did shoot.
Father.
Just a joke, my dear. Not a good one, but a joke.
So this Jewish king, this King Solomon, he had them cut the baby in half?
No, of course not. You see, the whole point of the story is that it was a wise decision because he could tell from the reaction of the two women whose baby it really was. The real mother screaming that they obviously couldn't do this to her child and that they should instead give the baby to the other woman, who obviously wasn't the real mother.
Ah, crafty Jewish thinking. They always come up with something.
You don't seem terribly crazy about the Jews, Panama Puzik, but I think you're overstating the case a bit. There are all kinds of Jews, you know, just like there are all kinds of other people. Good ones and bad ones, smart ones, stupid ones, kind ones and mean ones. But you've lost the point of the whole story, which is how I got this cigarette case, which you admired so much.
Well, yes, I'm so sorry, Ponsapir, but I don't think I was being mean. I was just being factual.
Anyway, these two gentlemen whose business case I was arbitrating were so happy with the settlement that I proposed that they joined in to buy me a cigarette case. There was only one problem. I don't smoke. It was such a lovely case with my initials on it that I started carrying it around, offering cigarettes to other people. And I may have even thought about smoking from time to time myself just because it felt so silly carrying them for everyone else.
I wish I had something sweet to go with my tea.
Well, here you go.
No, I don't like train sugar.
Well, we are approaching the next stop. Maybe I'll just run out and get something for you.
Oh, well, that would be very, very nice of you, Ponsapir. But nothing too sweet or too fattening.
Oh, that's not something you have to concern yourself with, Panama Puzik.
Every woman does nowadays after the war. The fashions are so narrow.
Oh my God, yes. Flat. Bosoms have become passe. Oh, I wonder what that says about our society, Father.
If you will all excuse me, I'll just run out and get something for you. Madam Salmachi, can I get anything for you?
Oh, a few chocolates would be nice. There don't seem to be any on this train.
Very well. Chocolates it is. And for you, Father?
Oh, no. Well, surprise me, Ponsapir.
I come bearing gifts.
Oh,
See, some chocolates for you, Madam Salmachi.
thank you.
And for you, Panama Puzik, some marzipan.
Oh,
Thank you. I so love marzipan. They look delicious.
Father, it was almost impossible to get the latest newspaper. Managed to get this one from the day before yesterday. Reading a good book, are you?
The Further Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Ah, Sherlock Holmes. I used to love Holmes. Do you know, in school, I used to tuck the book behind my mathematics textbook, but every time the teacher caught me doing that, she used to rap me on the knuckles. But I loved Holmes.
books are such magical things. They can take us places and teach us such wonderful things about ourselves that we would never have known before.
So true, Madam Salmachi, so very true.
And very profound, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh.
Although I am a little less poetically inclined than you, it's more the market reports and business sections, headlines of the newspapers that hold my interest nowadays, not made-up stories about imagined escapades.
Well, you're a practical man, Ponsapir. There's no shame in that.
No shame in it, Father, more of a compulsion.
Now, let me ask you, the vendors on the platform, now, did they haggle with you about the chocolates and such?
A little bit.
They always haggle.
Who haggled?
Some Jew.
Excuse me.
Well, wasn't he a Jew?
I don't know. How would I know? Why?
Couldn't you tell?
I was looking for your marzipan and there was only one vendor who had them.
They're practically all Jews nowadays. It's really such a shame.
What are you talking about?
On all these train platforms, there used to be the most beautiful parade of peasants with their folk goods before the war. They had carved dolls for their children, holy icons for their faithful, and berries and plums from God knows where. Slovakia, Romania. Everything perfect, everything delicious. I always so loved those train rides with my father to my aunt's house in Krakow when I was a little girl.
Oh, that's changed, like so much in the world, unfortunately.
What does any of this have to do with the Jews? I don't understand.
What does it have to do with the Jews? What do you mean? What does it have to do with the Jews? It has everything to do with the Jews. They've put our poor peasants out of business one by one, as they do with everything else when they manage to work their way in. You won't find a peasant selling a peach on these railway stations anymore.
Well, we'll never be able to prove your point, now will we? We'll never know if that poor man was Jewish or not. So, can we please change the subject?
Good idea. Though I don't think I can ever forgive them for rejecting our Lord and Savior. The forgiveness is at the heart of our Christianity.
I could promise you, if the man was a Jew, you could have smelled it.
I beg your pardon, do you actually believe this nonsense you say?
Nonsense? I wasn't aware I was giving you any nonsense, Ponsapir.
Well, are Jews so smart that they can outwit everyone else? Is that what you say?
No, crafty. Their whole training is about being crafty. It's about how to outsmart others, how to take advantage of others. Don't you know of their Talmud, their so-called holy book?
Yes, a little bit, actually.
Well, then you know. It teaches them everything they need to learn. When they are infants, they start to figure it out, how to make their way in, how to make a profit from whatever it is. And it's all written there, backwards, and an ancient scroll. So nobody can understand it.
Nurse Wampuzik.
I'm sorry, but you sound like we're in the Dark Ages when you say such, if you will forgive me, nonsense.
Now, please, children.
Nonsense. Didn't they teach you in your Russian history books about the trickery of the Jews?
Ah, that's right. I skipped that class in university, an introduction to the trickery of the Jews.
You may make fun all you want, Ponsapir, but it may interest you to know that during the plagues of the Dark Ages, something like 80 to 90% of our peasants died. The Christian peasants, all their children. Only something like 10% of the Jewish children, if that, died. The rest survived. Now, how do you explain that, Ponsapir?
Nurse Wampuzik, the reason that the Jews survived the plagues better than the Christians is quite simple. They washed their food. No, it was their religion. They didn't eat other foods, like pork and shellfish, which, if not cooked well, were easily contaminated and carried diseases back then.
You've really bought into their Jewish propaganda.
So these Jews, they're very smart, are they?
No, why would you say that?
Well, by what you say, they can manipulate any circumstance to their advantage. Survive plagues, even. Now, that takes intelligence, does it not? Magical intelligence, even.
Now, see here. I do my best to avoid them in the marketplace, especially the ones with the funny hats, the unkempt beards, the side curls. The incessant haggling is thoroughly unpleasant.
Name one thing about them that is not unpleasant, Father.
Now, our government is doing what it can about the Jewish problem.
Excuse me.
Well, they do control the banks and newspapers, the radios. Something must be done. I'll say that for what our good nurse is meaning to say.
Father, look, with all due respect, I've known many Jews in my time, and it seems to me that they're just like everyone else. You Polish people have become quite obsessed about this matter, it seems to me.
Ponsapir, you are a very strange man. I find you in many ways charming, but I cannot for the life of me see how you can, with a straight face, as they say, be so ignorant about the Jews.
Can't we talk about something else?
He's not a Pole, Miss Wampuzik. Perhaps in Russia he hasn't seen the Jews behave as we have here. Perhaps they're not as disturbing there as they are here. Though they are a menace to every God-fearing Christian society. There's a Bolshevik revolution that's proven. All those Bolsheviks are Jews, you know.
No, hold on one
I've met
second.
some decent Jews in my time. Some fine individuals, but they are the exception to the rule.
Jews are Jews, Father, wherever they are. Believe me, I know I can smell a Jew a kilometer away.
Really? I can't believe you said that. Do you actually believe it?
I know it. You see, they are always making us argue. I agree with Madame Selmachi. Let's talk about something else.
Yes, please let's.
Thank you so much for this marzipan. Look at this one. It's in the shape of a marzipan piggy. How adorable.
It's funny you should say that, actually.
Why? Why is it funny?
My mother used to call me her marzipan piggy. Can you believe that?
Oh, that is so sweet. Why'd she call you that?
She said as a child I was so round and pink, and she wanted to take a bite out of me. Perhaps that's why I got it for you when I saw it. Excuse me, Father, I don't know where that came from.
You must have had a very loving mother for her to see you that way. You certainly have slimmed down since your marzipan piggy days, Bonsevier.
Nurse Wampuzik.
Sorry, Father, that was just the wine from dinner talking.
It's quite charming of you to say, actually. I did have a wonderful mother. I miss her a great deal sometimes. She died unexpectedly, and I never fully got over it, I'm afraid.
Unexpectedly? How did she die, if you don't mind me asking?
Typhus.
Oh, we saw so much of that after the war.
Oh, so many died. All throughout Europe. More, they say, than on all sides during the war.
Yes, but this marzipan piggy does like to stay fit. Mainly by skiing. Do you ski, Panama-Puzi?
I love to ski. I grew up in a village where we skied to school every day. Our first dates with boys were on skis. Our first kisses with boys were when we fell off the skis into the snow.
We'll be passing through Zakopane later tonight, Bonsevier. Do you know it? The finest ski resort in all of Poland. Oh, and the air tastes like heaven. 2,000 meters closer to heaven, we all used to laugh and say. Zakopane.
It is beautiful, but like so many other things, it's much more beautiful from the outside than from the inside.
Snow. The old priest used to say, God's frozen tears for us to turn into joy.
If you'll all excuse me, I'm going to go freshen up before a queue forms for the water closet.
That's a good idea. I need to do that soon myself.
Oh, Father, would you care to join me? I'd feel a bit more comfort and a bit safer if you'd walk me down the crowded corridor.
It's my pleasure, my dear. And whisper.
It is getting late, but I fear I now have no inclination to sleep.
You remind me, Ponsapir, of someone very dear to me, someone important to my family.
I say that I'm flattered, Madame Salmachi. I hope this person you speak of is important to the business dealings or the betterment of your family somehow.
Yes, in a manner of speaking. Let's just say that he embraces the world we now find ourselves in and does his best to preserve his family in the face of an uncertain future.
I am indeed flattered. As you can imagine, intrigued by such a compliment. Is there a reason why you're telling me this now?
No, it's just that we're approaching Zakopane, where I know he lives, and conversations here today made me think of him just now.
I'm honored.
I noticed you had some sort of unusual reaction to the mention of Zakopane, it seemed to me, if I'm not intruding.
No, it's a place that I have to visit at some point in my life, but for personal reasons.
Well, if and when you do, I'd like to give you something.
Give me something.
Yes. If I'm not being too forward in doing so.
What is this, Madame Salmachi?
Please, put it away, and if the time comes when it is right, you will know what to do with it.
Goodness me. Sounds like something out of the Sherlock Holmes books of my youth.
Yes, exactly, but a bit more serious if I have judged you correctly. I ask you not to show it to anyone else.
What a strange request.
Please, not now. Put it away.
I must say, Madame Salmachi, you certainly have piqued my interest.
Oh, as you have mine, Ponsapir from southern Russia. Zakopane really is a remarkable place. It can be seen as a kind of escape from the real world at the right moment in one's life.
What, Ken?
Madame Salmachi was just telling me about Zakopane, the ski resort we'll pass through in the night.
Lovely place. Magical place.
Yes, I know it well. I never thought of it as magical, but it is for some, I guess.
Magical place depends upon whom you are with. Only being with the right person at the right moment in one's life can turn a place to a lovely dream.
What a beautiful sentiment, Madame Salmachi.
Yeah, I urge you both to go. before a line forms?
Oh,
I fear Nurse Wampuzik and I may have started a trend.
After you, madam.
Are you sleeping? I don't want music.
I was sleeping once a beer.
Sorry. I saw that your light was on. Would you like to go back to sleep?
Did you really just wake me to ask me if I wanted to go back to sleep? I like to sleep with the light on, ever since I was a little girl.
I do apologize. To tell you the truth, I was hoping for some conversation.
Oh, well, the truth is, I was not sleeping. Not really.
Would you like to talk, Panama, was it?
About what, Pons of Beer?
How about calling me Simeon to begin with?
And to end with.
Are you always so ironic, Panama, was it? If I didn't feel I knew you better, I might mistake your comments as sarcasm.
I'm so glad you are so sensitive as to know me better. Yes, I will call you Simeon if you call me Katya. But not in front of Father Alexandro.
Very well. It's an agreement, Katya.
It's an agreement, Simeon.
You can call me Sioma, if you like. It's not so formal as Simeon, you see. It's what my friends call me.
Are we friends, Simeon?
Sioma, please.
That's a perfect name for a marzipan piggy.
You won't let me forget that, will you? Sioma, it's Russian for little Simeon. It's what my friends call me. It's what my mother called me.
Then by all means, Simeon. Come on.
What are you doing?
You said you wanted some conversation. I need some fresh night air, so let's go. Anakat, you go first. Anakat.
our future is defined by the decisions we make in the present. In the heat of the moment, I have watched as my daughter almost ruined her life by sudden, unthought-out decisions. Please be careful.
But I was just going for some fresh night air, madam.
Oh, you should be careful.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I just have a feeling you may not be very experienced in matters of the heart.
Well, that is very sweet of you, but my father always taught me to follow my instincts and to move with them and not to be afraid.
Oh, there is much to be afraid of for a young woman like yourself. Believe me, I know. My daughter has gotten herself in a bad way with a terrible man who has no intention of marrying her. He is a gambler, far worse than my daughter knows. And he has bled her of most all of her money, the money she has saved to finish her schooling. She is so terribly trapped. And I don't know how it will all end.
We are a different generation now, Madame Salmachi. We've been through a world war. We are no longer helpless and weak little girls, just as Poland is no longer a helpless and weak country. My father used to tell me before he died that the war and its horrible aftermath will have strengthened us in so many unbelievable ways. Your daughter will find her way. We all have to nowadays. Please don't worry about me. I must follow my feelings now, and I too will find my way.
What a beautiful country you have. Reminds me of southern Russia sometimes.
Yes, as you get higher into the mountains, the views become really magnificent. So, I should confess, as I told you on the train, I was against inviting you into the compartment. At first, anyway.
I can't say that I blame you.
I am now glad I was overruled by Father Alexandra.
Yes. He is very kind.
Yes, he is.
And I'm glad that you're glad that you were overruled. Why so serious? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, am I being too easy? Too forward? There's something about you, Sioma. God, I love that name. There's something about you that makes me feel, I don't know, safe, I guess.
Safe enough to...
To what?
You know.
No, I don't.
I didn't think I needed to spell it out.
Yes, you do. My mother always taught me it is a lady's prerogative to have it... Oh, is that the right word?
To have it spelled out.
Yes, I think that's a word she used. I think that's what she taught me.
Perhaps this is terribly forward of me. Possibly even rude, but...
But what?
This.
Is that all?
No. I was going to ask,
Yes.
perhaps suggest,
Yes.
do you think it would be possible? That is, would you consider getting off this train with me when we reach Zakopane at 5 in the morning?
Getting off the train with you? Getting off the train with you.
Yes. Is that too bold of me? You said you liked to ski. I thought maybe we could rent some skis.
I did. I don't remember saying that.
I could swear you did.
You're a mind reader, Sioma.
Am I?
I don't know what you are, but I really like what you are. I really, really, really like whatever it is that you are. Is that too bold of me to say? Oh, I guess it is. I take it back.
Please don't take it back.
Fine, I won't take it back, but then please say something to me very quickly.
When do you have to be back at your army base?
Monday. Why did you do that? My father used to do that when I was little. You have gentle hands.
If you only have to be back at your base on Monday, today being Thursday, that would give us the weekend, wouldn't it?
How can we do this? How can I get off the train with a man I don't even know, a man I just met a few hours ago? I just can't believe it can be that simple.
But isn't it the simplest thing on earth?
Yes. I think it is. I really think it is. It's something in your eyes. I see something in your eyes.
I don't understand. Where did they go?
They got off at Zakopane station. I wasn't certain it was a good idea, but they were so sure of themselves. She was so happy.
What should we do? Well, what should I do?
Well, you're the priest, Father.
Well, yes, but,
Doesn't God work in mysterious ways, Father?
Of course.
Well, then, perhaps we should just let him work his wonders. It's not for us to question him, is it, Father? Just to give thanks for his wisdom and to go wherever his will takes us.
Well, you're right, of course, ma'am. I didn't realize you were such a devout woman. There is no life without some sadness, madam. Let us pray for them both.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Then we arrived in Zakopane and
For how long were you together?
10 days.
And you had a good relationship in those 10 days?
Very, very good. I was really attracted to her. But somehow you can never figure it out. Maybe the attraction was even bigger because I was always thinking in my mind that I will tell the girls that I'm Jewish.
It's so beautiful here, so quiet.
Yes, it is.
So like it must have been before the war.
It was so peaceful then, I had forgotten.
It's hard to realize you grew up in such a paradise.
As a child, maybe, but then you get a bit older and it becomes a bit more difficult living and working every day, experiencing a real hand-to-mouth life. People just see the surface of a place like Zakopane. They see everybody at play and they think of it as a year-round paradise. But I had to start working when I was just 12. School was over. A girl didn't need more education, my father said. I just needed to bring in more money than my father made after his business failed. So I got 3 months of basic medical schooling and then I got sent off to work as a nurse's aide in the poorest quarter of town. And we went from house to house where they couldn't afford a real doctor and did what we could. But it wasn't much, I'm afraid.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, don't be sorry. I felt very important. For the first time in my life, I felt very important.
That must have been difficult for a child.
I just knew I had to bring in more money for my family, and I did. Sometimes working 15 to 16 hours a day until I got a real nursing job. We were young, we were poor, we were working hard, and these rich ladies at their spas, well, we really resented them.
I understand.
You don't understand. You can't. I haven't asked you yet, but I'll bet you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Isn't that the French expression? I can tell by everything, your manners, your clothing, everything.
I'll admit, I come from a privileged family, but well, that was 10 years ago now. Before the revolution, it was another world.
10 years can be a lifetime.
Yes, and despite the fact my early years were like a dream, reality caught up with me when I was not much older than 20. My home was gone, my family was gone, my country was gone. The whole world changed in the blink of an eye, seeming to come out of nowhere.
20 years old. So we both suffered in our youth.
Yes. But a different kind of suffering, I'll admit, than someone who had to work to help feed her family.
That was us, me and my two brothers. None of us could finish school until I could earn enough to put myself through nursing classes. My father had a pretty good business, and for a minute we almost joined the middle class, and then that too collapsed.
I find your innocence lovely.
I wonder if that can really be true. I am so unsophisticated, so unworldly, and you...
You were saying?
I don't know.
So what happened next. After nursing school?
Well, the war was over and Poland was reborn. It's seen we all celebrated for months, staying up all night, dancing on tables in cafes. We were all so happy, so deliriously happy, and then
Yes?
there was an opportunity to join the Polish army, anyone with a nursing degree, and we were so proud to have an army of our own again.
It's a very unique ring you have. I've never seen one quite like it before.
My father gave that to me. It's the last thing he ever gave me. I cherish it. I never take it off.
It's truly unusual. I've never seen a ring in the shape of a triangle before.
He said it represents the three sides of us, the head, the body, and deep inside, the heart.
Sounds like he was a wise man.
We peasants had to be wise to survive the generations of occupiers and overlords that Poland endlessly suffered through. What is it? Go on, you can ask me.
All right. If you don't mind me asking, why are you Poles so anti-Semitic? The things that you said on the train, your occupiers, your overlords, as you call them, they weren't Jewish, were they?
No, they were the Polish nobility. The rich, entitled fools who owned huge swaths of land, never set foot on them. Often we didn't even know who they were.
So why not take out your anger on them instead of the Jews?
Because the Jews ran everything for the Polish aristocracy. You just don't understand.
I'm trying to. I really am.
The Jews were the middlemen between us and the Polish nobility who owned everything, and we were just the workers and the peasants at the bottom of the heap.
But why hate the middlemen? Why not hate the aristocracy? They were the real oppressors of your people.
Because we never saw them. We only saw the Jews telling us what to do. Teaching our schools, collecting our taxes, running our farms and our factories, wearing their fancy clothes and eating so well while many of us were starving. You don't understand. And our churches taught us since Bible times.
Oh, yes, of course. They killed Christ.
Why are you defending them so?
No more politics for the moment. Okay. The truth?
Truth.
Should we check into a hotel?
I don't know what to do. Simeon, I'm very attracted to you. You know that. To get off the train, to break my schedule, to run off with a man I don't even know, I just met a day earlier, that's not me. That is not Katya Wampuzik. I should feel dirty. But somehow I don't with you.
Let me make the arrangements. Everything will be proper, I promise you. There'll be 2 separate rooms. I just feel that we have to stay here for a couple of days and really get to know one another. I'll make the arrangements. They won't be embarrassing, I promise you. Give me 10 minutes.
Wait. It makes no sense, but I feel like telling you that I love you. But it makes no sense.
No. It makes no sense. 10 minutes, don't worry.
Katya?
My goodness, Katya Wampusik? Katya! Marcia! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! 5 years. Oh, you look beautiful. Who is that man you're with? He's so handsome, so distinguished looking.
I can't even begin to explain.
No need to explain, darling. Oh, I'm just so happy to see you. I thought when you left I'd never see you again. You left so abruptly, so suddenly, without ever saying goodbye.
I know, I disappointed so many people. My father died, and I had to go to Lvov and take care of what was left of his business.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know he died. You didn't tell anybody you were going.
I know, I disappointed so many people.
Dr. Volnicek was so devastated.
But he wanted me to marry him, and at that time I was young and hurt, and I just ran off without telling anybody, and I went to Lvov.
Where are your two handsome brothers? I don't know if you knew, I had such a big crush on Zbigniew.
Of course I knew. Everyone knew. You were never one to hide your feelings. Zabig lives in Warsaw, so does Stanislav. Zabig is married with 2 kids. But you look amazing.
I just got back from Rome with a friend.
Oh.
Oh, we had such a wonderful time. Everything there is so unlike it used to be. It's so efficient and so clean. Oh, and the trains from there to here, you have to give that Mussolini so much credit. They're all so clean now and so punctual.
Really?
Italy's a dream. The people are all so happy. Oh.
Hello. Looks like you made yourself a new friend already.
No, this is an old friend, Pani Petrenko. This is Ponsapir.
Charm.
We did our nurse's residency here years ago.
Ah, here in Zakopane.
Yes. Oh, but she was such a sad little thing then, always worrying about her family and their problems. She never could join in with the other girls, never really joined our spirit of fun. Such a moody one, but now you look different, so grown up.
Well, I had to grow up fast after I left. Too many stories.
Can I order you two some tea? Some sweet?
Did you?
Yes. Everything's arranged.
What are you two up to? Did I bump into you at a bad moment? Katya.
No. I was just showing Ponsapir around Zakopane.
Oh, how about the 3 of us have dinner while you're here? Oh, if 3 is not a crowd, as they say.
Oh, no, yes, we'd love to.
Oh,
How about tomorrow night? You see, both of us are so exhausted after our train trip, neither of us really got any sleep last night.
Oh, how romantic.
You silly thing. We were up on the back of this freezing train talking like magpies instead of getting any sleep.
So you haven't slept since the night before last?
No, I'm afraid not. And I can tell you I certainly will enjoy it this evening.
If we can make it till then, I feel like I could just collapse right now, but I've got all this strange energy.
Well, you know what that means.
Marussia, stop it! She was always the most romantic girl, like a big sister, always prodding me to take chances. Well.
So, shall we say tomorrow evening then? Say 7 o'clock in the dining hall of the hotel. We're staying at the Royale.
The Royale? Very nice. And pray, what will you be doing all day long?
Sleeping.
Okay. 7 o'clock tomorrow night it is then, at the Royale. Have a wonderful rest. Oh, it's so wonderful to see you again and to see you looking so radiant.
We'll see you tomorrow night then.
Bye-bye.
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 Oh, God, I'm so sorry. It looks like we have a dinner date.
Yes, apparently we do.
Well, I couldn't say no to her. She was so good to me when I really needed her.
It's fine. Anything that gets me to know you better is more the pleasure for me.
You're just too good to be true. Do you know that?
Yes, I do know that. They keep telling me, and I never believed them. Not until now. Good afternoon. You look beautiful.
Oh, what time is it? I called for breakfast. They said only a late lunch was available. How long have I been sleeping? Do you know that was the most peaceful sleep I've had in I don't even know how many years. What have you been up to?
I have been walking around your magnificent resort. There's something about this place. It's not at all what I imagined. So beautiful, so peaceful.
Yes, it's always been the wonderful thing about Zakopane. No matter how hard times were as a child, there was always something so, I don't know, so unreal, so dream-like about this place.
Almost as if the world's troubles just stop at the outskirts of town.
It's funny, I remember feeling that way first thing after waking up when I was a little girl. But then some outside event, some outside thing would break into it and it would disappear.
It's funny, I felt that way as I walked around this afternoon. Such an odd feeling. Almost unreal. But I found something for you. A gift.
No. Seeming I cannot accept this.
You must. I saw it in the window of this wonderful store and it just shouted you to me.
Pan Sapir?
Yes, Semyon Sapir. Dr. Mirslovsky, I presume.
I got your message. It's a pleasure to meet you, Pan Sapir.
Pleasure to meet you as well. Please.
Oh, thank you. Ah.
I'm sorry, what strikes you as funny?
To be completely honest with you, most everything these days. There's very little that does not make me laugh. Excuse me. Bist a Yid? Bist a Yid?
Yes. Why?
You're asking me why I want to know if you're a Jew? In Poland, what else is there to ask? Please.
I had the pleasure of making the acquaintance of your friend, Madame Selmachi, on my train ride yesterday. She mentioned to me in a note that you were staying at this hotel, that I should look you up.
And so you have. She's my cousin.
Oh, your cousin?
Yes. Let me introduce myself once more to you. Dr. Nahum Grunbaum.
I see.
Yes.
So would I then be correct in assuming that Madame Selmachi is herself Jewish?
You would be correct. Does that really surprise you, Pan Sapir?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it does. Her silence in the face of several quite extraordinary anti-Semitic remarks during the course of our trip would have been enough to...
Enough to keep her identity concealed, even from you, a Jew, who, given the circumstances of your acquaintance with my cousin, she phoned me this morning and described the trip, seemed to have been in a similar position. You didn't reveal your Jewish identity either, did you?
No. It didn't seem appropriate at the time.
Exactly. So I am sure for my cousin Leova. It wasn't appropriate at the time for her to announce that she was Jewish. She used to be on the stage now.
Yes, she mentioned something about that. It does have a bit of a theatrical quality, come to think of it.
Yes, she certainly does. She was a wonderful Anya many years ago in a production of The Cherry Orchard in Lublin before the war. They said she had a bright future, but the war changed all that. Then she married just as she was becoming quite well known. Gave up the stage, sadly.
How did she know that I was
Jewish? She knew. How does one know this sort of a thing sometimes? Who knows? She knew.
I had no idea.
She thought the two of us should meet.
May I ask you why? I don't mean to be rude, but I don't understand.
Do you mind if I ask you? My cousin very much wanted to know. The conversation in your cabin came around to Jews. You didn't identify yourself as one.
I intended to tell them that I was Jewish when the anti-Semitic remarks began, but I suppose I explained to myself that it might be better for the Jews, so to speak, if I spoke in our defense as a non-Jew.
So you pretended to be a Gentile?
I suppose in a way I did by not speaking out. It was probably nothing more profound than me just not wanting to give up the comfort of my situation. Of course, they wouldn't have done anything, but at the very least, it would have made the rest of the trip awkward and uncomfortable.
Oh, I understand. Believe me. I have lived here in Zakopane for 15 years now under a Christian name. Because I have no history here, no family, no ties to my past. But the current tides in Poland and in Europe are alarming, to say the least. And let us just say, give a certain urgency to keeping a connection to who I am, to who we are. My cousin, as you may or may not know, has complications of her own.
Complications? No.
Her daughter is soon to be married to a prominent attorney and well-known drunk in Warsaw, a Pole, not a Jew, who, when under the influence, becomes ragingly anti-Semitic and, given his notoriety in the community, stirs the passions of the people, shall we say?
And she's in love with this man.
Hopelessly. And now she finds that she is pregnant.
Oy.
The irony will not be lost on you, Pansapir, that he has no idea his fiancée is Jewish.
May I ask you, what made you assume a Christian name so many years ago?
When I enlisted in the Polish army at the beginning of the war as a doctor, it was clear to me that my service would be a very different experience as a Miroslavsky than as a Grunbaum. In truth, it was a rash decision made at a time when I had less time to think than to act. I wanted to help. I was too old to be a soldier, but they desperately needed doctors, so they didn't look too hard at my documents. Like many decisions of this nature, I couldn't see how it would affect my future. 15 years later, my friend, it has shaped my life in ways I couldn't possibly have imagined. And what can I say? Like my cousin, it's simply made life a bit easier.
I see.
I couldn't even be holding this position as a Jew. My hospital, under the restrictive quotas, has places for only 4 Jews at my tier of doctor. A 5th Jew, like myself, would have had to wait till one of those 4 died or retired.
I understand.
Sorry, I can go on. Enough about me. What about you? Why are you in Poland?
How do you mean?
Most of the Jews I know have stayed in Russia as the communists freed them, offered them equality for the first time in their lives.
Yes, but not us. Well, not those of us who were declared capitalists. There was no future for us there, whether we were Jewish or not.
I see. What about your parents, your family? If you don't mind my asking.
I would prefer not to go into all of that, if you don't mind. Enough to say that within a year of the revolution, both of my parents were gone, and my brothers and I had to, in one way or another, make our way to Poland. I don't mean to go into all of this with a stranger. I'm sure you've heard hundreds of such stories.
I understand now. That's quite clear now. I do apologize. I did not mean to intrude. So, are you in Zakopane on vacation or on business?
Neither of the above, really.
Sounds complicated.
It certainly is that.
Well, I don't mean to pry, but I am a doctor. Would you want to tell me about it?
Not particularly, no. It's sort of a personal problem.
A Jew with a personal problem in Poland in 1928. How unusual.
Yes.
My friend, if I can disclose to you that I've been living concealing who I really am for 15 years, you probably can trust your personal problems with me?
Look, I know you mean well. It's just It's not something I want to talk about. My lady friend will be joining me for dinner in a few moments. I don't mean to be rude.
Girlfriend, I see. No wonder you got problems.
Excuse me, but my situation is a little bit complicated. Somewhat messy, one might say. Delicate, even. I just don't think that a stranger would...
Oh, sometimes a stranger is the only one to talk to, my friend. I'm a good listener. You had a funny reaction to being asked if you were a Jew. In Poland, nowadays, in Europe, it's important to remember who you are on the inside, no matter who you appear to be on the outside.
But coming from you, that is a rather strange thing to say, don't you think? I'm a proud Jew, though I may have hidden the fact for a short time to make a point. I cannot imagine living my entire life pretending not to be Jewish.
Well, we never know what we're capable of until we're put to the test, do we?
Yes. Perhaps we can continue this conversation later this evening.
Of course. Whew. I wish I had your problems. I'm in number 302. Don't worry about the time. I'm up all night writing anyway.
You look beautiful.
It's a dress. Isn't it the most amazing thing you've ever seen?
It is, and so are you. Dr. Mroslavsky, may I present the lovely Pana Wampuzik?
Honored. A great pleasure. Au revoir, Pan Sapir. I leave you to your lovely companion.
Thank you. Would you like a drink before we go to the table?
I'd rather not. Let's just go to the table.
Why, something wrong?
You're Pan Miroslavsky.
Dr. Mroslavsky, actually.
You just made me uncomfortable.
Why? He's perfectly nice. We have a mutual friend.
You do? That's strange.
Why is that strange?
I don't know. Something about his presentation of himself, I guess, and that cologne. I hope I wasn't rude, but his kissing my hand.
No, those old world manners can be rather annoying, I know.
No, it wasn't that. I don't know what it was. I hope I didn't behave badly.
No. You look spectacular. That dress was made for you. Dance with me.
This is all just a dream, isn't it? I just know that this is all just a dream. I just never want to have to wake up. Do I have to wake up?
Oh, my sweet girl. Let us both enjoy this dream together. Hardly said 3 words to me. Is something wrong?
Yeah, I have some more champagne, please.
Yes. Of course. Are you sure you want another glass?
Of course, I'm sure. It's delicious, and when will I ever get the opportunity to drink such expensive champagne again?
There was something about Dr. Mroslavsky that troubled you.
Yes, it's true, but it's nothing. He just reminded me of somebody that my father knew in my childhood.
And he did something hurtful to you, this man?
I'd rather not go into it.
Katya. I feel like in such a short amount of time, we've gotten to know each other better than 2 people ever could have. But I think it's important you do talk about it.
What?
Your reaction to the doctor kissing your hand.
was a man, a Jew.
Again with the Jews.
You just really don't understand, do you? I don't know what it was like in Russia, but in Poland, as the Germans like to say, and I quote, "The Jews are our misfortune."
You're sounding like the Nazis. Do you know that? Do you know about the Nazis? They'll be coming to power soon in Germany, and God help us when they do. Do you like the Nazis?
Of course, I don't like the Nazis. They are so barbaric that Hitler is a madman. They are crazy and violent, and I don't believe they will ever come into power.
Well, then please stop sounding like them about the Jews.
The only good thing I can say about the Nazis is they're trying to bring some order to that mess, which is the Weimar Republic, which I'm sure even you see me and know is run by Jews and homosexuals. Everybody knows it. Everybody says it's full of degeneracy and homosexuality and corruption of all kinds. That is not Poland.
Oh my God.
And certainly you must know there are 10 times as many Jews here in Poland as there are in Germany. 10 times as many Jews. The country is being overrun by them. My father said it for years.
You are a little drunk, I'm afraid. And I don't have to listen to this garbage anymore. You Poles and the Germans, you share a common disease so deep in your genes it goes back to the Dark Ages. You don't know what you're saying.
I don't want to talk about this anymore, please. I don't like to talk about politics. Please, let's not talk about this anymore, please.
We have to talk about it. Katya, where does this hatred come from?
Hatred? What hatred? I don't have hatred. I just don't like certain attitudes, certain behaviors. You know, those Jewish traits.
Stop! Stop!
Corruption.
Stop! That's enough.
My father owned a business. It was a small business, but it was a successful business. And you wouldn't believe all of the financial barriers, all the social barriers, all the class barriers he had to overcome, saving up all of his zlotys until he could open a business of his own, one where he could sell small agricultural parts for the farm, being an excellent metal machinist. Many of them he made himself. He tried to turn his business into something that could sustain our family, that would have a place in it for my two brothers when they became of age. And nobody believed in him. Except this old Jew in Krakow who saw something in my father and helped him to establish his business. But he wasn't just a Jew, he was one of those crazy ultra-religious Jews with the beard and the cape and the big black hat, even this summer when it was hot. For 2 years, things were going really well until one day, this old Jew, this same man that used to bring me sweets and play with my two brothers, came with a piece of paper saying that my father owed him thousands of zlotys that he had invested in his business, a business, I repeat, my father built from the ground up, from nothing, from his own hands, from his sweat.
Katya, I see where this is going.
Because he might have owed him a few zlotys from time to time, but nothing totaling the amount he was now claiming he was owed. And he took my father to court, and my father could not even afford a lawyer to speak for him. So he lost his business. He lost his store, he lost his faith in life, he lost his faith in himself, and He shot himself that night. I never saw him again. And the only thing that he left me is his ring. He used to wear this ring on his little finger. It's the only thing he left me. This ring he made himself. That and my hatred for the Jews.
Katya, wait. Please. I'm sorry. There are bad people everywhere.
I wish you would know my father. He was a good man. He was a decent man. He was a very sweet man and an honest man. A hard-working man. He was a good man. I wish you would know.
Let's get you up to the hotel room. Everything will be fine.
No. No, let me go up myself. Just let me go up myself and I'll pull myself together and I'll be okay. I just need a half hour. That's all I need. And I'm gonna be fine. I just need to... Please don't hate me.
So you see, Dr. Grunbaum, the situation that I'm in. I swore at the moment that she said I can smell a Jew a kilometer away, that I would, how should I say it, kiss the girl, and then reveal to her that I'm Jewish. So we got off the train together, but much to my surprise, I did not sleep with her, and I did not tell her that I'm Jewish. I just felt that I couldn't under such false circumstances. And as you saw, she is lovely. I mean, really lovely. Inside and out. Despite her terrible prejudice. That was hard for me to put together. To hold together in my head that a fierce, hating bigot could at the same time be a sweet, lovely, almost innocent creature. So I did not go through with my plan. And I did not tell her that I'm Jewish. I don't know, maybe I got scared. Maybe I like her too much. I just feel at some point I have to go through with it. I cannot let her comments go unanswered, undealt with. I cannot let them go unresponded to, no matter how I find myself feeling about her. So you see my dilemma.
Yes. Yes, I do. My poor fellow. What do you intend to do?
I must tell her. It's the whole point of the thing. No sense to any of it otherwise.
You've been here how many years now from Russia? And you're surprised that Poland is full of anti-Semites?
I've heard my share of anti-Semites in my time. With her, it was different. I could tell it was deeper, more personal. I actually felt bad for her anger. She was like an angry, sick child, and yet I wanted to get even with her. Even after she explained about her father.
That is not the answer, Pansapir. It never is. You know that in your heart. Getting even, as you call that, never can satisfy your heart.
My heart is so confused at this point. Very unsure of itself, I'm afraid. I felt guilty enough that I said nothing in that train compartment. Let those disgusting comments go by, and I felt terrible. I have to do now what I promised myself I would do.
Hundreds of times I've heard anti-Semitic remarks, ever since I was a child. You get used to it in Poland, you just ignore it. Absolutely no reason to get into fights about it unless you're ready to move to Palestine or to America. This is Poland, and these are the worst anti-Semites in the world. So, why struggle with it? Enjoy the girl. She's lovely. She's just a product of her environment, as are we all. It happens to be a truly poisonous environment with 1,000 years of history in the Middle Ages and the church.
So I just ignore it. Accept it.
You accept it or you leave it, but don't get worked up about it. And in this situation, there is no getting even.
You think I should forget about my intention to tell her?
Yes. Yes, I do. What for? She's not bad. She's just ignorant. And I'm sorry, Pansapir, but you're not going to save the world. Even if at your age, you still think you might be capable of doing such a thing. Just enjoy your time with her, Pansapir. Have it as a fond memory.
And what if I can't forget? The words she said, the hatred on her face.
Why don't we go outside and get a little air? Let's take a walk, please. This is the reality of today's Poland, today's Europe. Do you know what's happening next door in Germany? You can't stop it, but you can let your feelings for this girl go to where they take you. That is something you can do. I believe that no matter what life lessons may come one's way, when you have these feelings of love, such feelings, you should not let them pass you by. You should act on them.
My father used to quote an old Russian peasant saying, "To live your life is not as easy as to cross a field." I'm just beginning to understand what he meant by that.
Those old peasant sayings have gotten us in a lot of trouble over the years.
He used to swear by them. Wisdom of the earth, he would say.
Well, I'm afraid this is something your father would say. You have to figure this out for yourself.
Yes, I apologize. I don't know why I've burdened you with all of this.
One can only reach into one's own history for examples. I have 2 children, 2 sons, both in their 20s. One is working in a kibbutz in Palestine. The other, I'm a Zinnik, studying to be a lawyer in New York. They are the future. As for me, Poland is where I was born. Poland is where I will die. I'm afraid I'm the last person to give anyone advice on anything. We each have to fulfill our own destiny, Pansapir, whatever that may be.
If only I knew what that was.
While you went for another one of your walks, my Sioma, I realized something amazing. I have no more inhibitions, no more shyness. I am a whore, but a happy whore.
Don't say such a nasty thing about yourself.
Oh, no, I mean a whore in the most wonderful sense of the word. I feel liberated. I don't know if this is the right time to tell you, but you are my first. I've never been with a man before. I know that sounds crazy in this age of flappers and free love, but I really have been a good Catholic my whole adult life.
Somehow I knew that.
You did? How did you know that?
Some things you just know.
But you were so wonderful. My sweet Sioma. Oh, Sioma. Ooh, Sioma.
You just had a bit too much to drink, that's all, and you're not used to it, which is a good thing.
I'm not used to a lot of things. Does good champagne always feel like this the next day? Or is it love? It feels so bad and so good. Is this what the English call a hangover, like in American movies?
Katya, there's something I have to tell you.
What is it, Sioma? Certainly it was not your first time. We were not both virgins, were we?
Were you never tempted before?
Well, I mean, I messed around a bit, but no, I had a very strict Catholic upbringing. And I know that sounds stupid with your sophisticated background, but we Polish country girls hold on to our virtue with our lives until
Until what?
until we find the right man.
There's something I really need to tell you.
I know what it is. I wasn't very good at it. I was clumsy and awkward, but you made me feel really comfortable. But I don't even know what I'm saying. I must have been a drunken mess.
Oh, darling, it's nothing that you did. It's nothing that you did.
But
You were wonderful. So loving, so caring, so giving. God, why is it so hard to tell you what I have to tell you?
you're married.
No, nothing simple like that.
Simple? Are you married or are you not married?
Oh, my sweet girl, I'm not married.
Oh, thank God.
And I'm completely crazy about you.
Well, then we have nothing to worry about.
God, help me. Oh, I need to go for a walk.
Okay, I will stay here and take a bath and dream of you.
Meet me in the dining hall at 7 o'clock, all right?
All right. Very, very all right, my sweetest Sioma.
Why do you look at me that way?
I never thought I'd find you.
Don't say that.
I'm saying it. I never thought I'd find you. I mean it. I've waited so long.
But I'm a fraud, you know. There's something I really need to tell you.
Don't. Don't tell me. Just don't tell me anything.
It's so sweet, Katya. The two of you, you're like what the Americans call teenagers. Do you know what that means?
No. What does that mean?
He's making fun of us. What does that mean? Sioma?
I never thought I'd see you this way, Katya. Oh.
His mother called him her marzipan piggy, and now he is my marzipan piggy.
A marzipan piggy. Charming. My goodness. If you don't mind me prying, how long have you known each other?
Oh, about 72 hours.
Tell me more. So you two just met?
In a way, yes, but in another way, no.
My God, is it true? You really just met?
Yes, it is such a long story. If you two will excuse me, I'm gonna run to the ladies' room.
Shall I go with you?
No, stay here, keep Simeon company. I'll just be gone for a moment.
I must apologize. I think I gave her too much champagne last night, and she doesn't seem very used to it.
No, she never was one to really drink. Not like the rest of us. And you know she never could take things casually, if you know what I mean.
No, I'm not sure that I do.
Come now. You're a man of the world, Principier. Katya had always lived a very sheltered life, not wild like so many of the rest of us. Not really like we were living in a new post-war world, the roaring 20s, as the Americans love to call it. She was brought up in a much earlier, more Victorian manner, much more conservative, you know?
My dear young lady, may I be open and honest with you as you have been with me?
Of course, please.
I think I'm deeply in love with your friend. Yes, I know, it makes no sense. We've only known each other a short amount of time, and there are these circumstances, but I believe I love her. And she loves me.
Oh, I can see that in everything about her. She loves you, certainly. And you say you love her, so what is the problem?
Should we order some dessert?
Oh, yes, let's.
You certainly have grown up, little one, since we first met that day you arrived at the Grand Sanitarium.
I'm sorry, did you say the Grand Sanitarium?
Yes, remember, Sioma, I told you that.
You never mentioned the name.
Oh, what difference does a name make? A Sioma by any other name would smell as sweet, or should I say taste as sweet, my marzipan piggy.
What in God's name are you talking about?
I'm sorry, so the two of you work there as nurses at the Grand Sanitarium?
Yes, remember, I told you that.
Oh, she's just being modest. She rose so fast to the position of chief nighttime admissions nurse that the other girls were jealous. Do you remember, Mika? Oh. Nobody climbed the ladder as fast as Arkatia, and no one was more promising until you suddenly resigned. We never knew why. Everyone said, all the doctors said, you had the greatest future of any of us.
Well, after my father died, I just suddenly became uncomfortable there after a certain time. And to be honest with you, there were some things that I had to do that disturbed me, but I don't mind the things I had to do to get that position.
What things? What things do you mean?
Just being in that position of authority at that young of an age, having to make certain decisions just suddenly seemed to overwhelm me.
I had no idea you felt that way. You were so young, strong in your ways, so clear in your opinions. You never seemed to have any doubts about anything.
Oh, no, I had doubts. Believe me, I had doubts. I just kept them to myself like I was taught.
I think it's time we got you to bed.
Oh, no. One more glass of wine, please, Sioma. It's been so long since I got to drink white wine. And then last night you got me drunk and had your way with me.
Oh, my. Oh, goodness.
Do you remember Nadia Blasky's birthday party?
Oh, my God. I haven't thought of that in years. Do you remember that young doctor? What's his name? Oh, he was so crazy about you. What was his name?
Carl. He was sweet, but I was a prude.
I'm sure you have a million stories from your time then. Tell me, please, the patients at the Grand Sanitarium, were they mostly local people, or did they come from great distances?
No. They came from all over. The Grand was an important place. It is an important place, shouldn't I say, Marussia?
Excuse me.
Why are you so suddenly interested in the Grand?
He is just crazy about you. It's so obvious to the naked eye that he wants to know absolutely everything about you and your past. Isn't that it, Ponsapir?
Oh, Sioma, that's wonderful. I love you for that. Isn't he wonderful, Marussia?
Oh, he certainly seems to be crazy about you.
To tell you the truth, my sweetest, dearest friend, we are crazy about each other. As crazy as that sounds to be saying, after 3 of the craziest and happiest days in my life.
How wonderful for you both. To Katya and Simeon. May 3 days turn into 30 days or 30 years or more.
This is like a romance novel, isn't it? The dark station, the gas lamp, the 2 young lovers oblivious to the world around them.
Katya, please.
Okay, we're not that young. But you make me feel like I'm 16 again.
Katya.
Do you know what I mean? To feel this close to another person who wasn't even on your earth a week ago, it's unreal outside of novels, isn't it?
I don't know how to do this. How to begin.
What is it, Sioma?
There was a woman named Natalia.
I don't care about your other women. All I care about is us here together now.
It's not what you think. This is different.
Different.
This woman, Natalia, grew gravely ill several years ago, after the war, after the revolution. And she had to be taken a great distance from her home in Russia to find care, to a hospital here in Poland, in Lvov, said to be the only place where cures were at all possible for her illness. Some advanced operation that could possibly save her life from the typhus.
Did you know her well?
Yes,
Did you love her?
very much.
Did she make it there? I hope she made it there.
Yes, she did. In a special train all covered in white sheets to show the passers-by that all of the passengers were extremely ill and very contagious.
Of course, I remember those trains like it was yesterday. Did she have the operation in Lvov?
Yes. It was not a success.
Oh, no.
The doctors there told her that the only cure now possible was 2 or 3 months of carefully supervised rest and the special treatment that one sanitarium in all of Poland was then famous for.
In Zakopane,
Yes.
the Grand Sanitarium.
She was told the Grand Sanitarium was her last hope.
Well, yes, we were famous for it. You know, there were always people coming in and out that we
She was
helped.
too ill to travel on her own. So she was accompanied by her sister, my aunt, Sarah.
Your Aunt Sarah.
Yes, and her youngest son, too, my little brother, Joseph,
Your brother. So Natalia is...
was.
Natalia was your...
Mother, that's right, Katya. I'm speaking of my mother. I was very attached to her. When I was 14, and my other brother was 15, we contracted typhus, which, as you know, was rampant throughout Europe after the war. But we were young and strong. Our mother nursed us back to health and we got over it. But she contracted it from us and couldn't seem to recover. The doctors in our town could do nothing for her. So she went to that hospital in Lvov, but after the operation failed, she and my aunt and my little brother went to the Grand Sanitarium.
They were able to help her. They cured her.
No, they did not cure her. They did not even admit her to the Grand Sanitarium.
What?
I was told by my aunt and my little brother that there was a young Polish nurse on duty that night who turned them away, refusing them admittance, saying, and these are the words my then 12-year-old brother will never forget. The nurse said, "I do not believe that we're equipped to help you people." The receptionist was startled, saying that she thought they had several rooms which were still vacant, but the nurse was adamant. "Don't be foolish," she said. "I've been left in charge. And there are no rooms for these people."
I don't understand.
My aunt confronted the nurse. But the nurse simply asked her, "You are Jewish, are you not?" "Yes," said my aunt. "Well, we don't take Jews here," replied the nurse. And my brother recalls that the nurse then turned to the receptionist and proudly whispered, "You see, I told you. I can smell a Jew a kilometer away."
I don't understand.
Of course you understand. What don't you understand?
I'm so terribly, deeply sorry. It was an expression that my father used, but it was just an expression. I must have picked it up from him. You know, my father was my first and only true love before I met you.
It was an expression? She was my mother, Katya.
I'm terribly, sadly, deeply sorry. Where did your mother go? You know, after that?
It was a freezing and snowy night. You might recall. No, why would you? There was a coachman. He was a decent Polish peasant. He took pity on my mother, and he took my mother to his own little home, where his wife fed my mother some soup and put my little brother to bed while he called a doctor. But by the time the doctor came, it was too late. Too late, the doctor said, to do anything. She suffered through the night, and in the morning she died in that peasant's home. She died, Katya. So, you understand?
How could you possibly assume it was me? There were a dozen young nurses constantly changing shifts.
Yes. But only one who would say, as you did on the train, that she could smell a Jew a kilometer away.
I have to go to the train now.
But now you know, Katya. Now you do understand.
I don't know what you are talking about. I don't understand what you are saying. I don't know anything.
Yes, you do. You know that I'm Jewish.
Don't be silly. We did.
Yes, we did. As I planned we would. Back there in that train compartment after you announced so proudly that you could smell a Jew a kilometer away. I planned all of this from the beginning. From the moment you said that. I just didn't plan to fall in love with you.
I don't understand.
Yes, you do. I'm Jewish. Simple. Easy to understand. I am Jewish. like my mother.
She came, embraced me, kissed me, very, very passionately, I would say. And put a golden ring on my finger and ran away.
She put it on your finger.
Yeah.
She took it off her hand.
That's the whole story.
And she didn't say a word?
No. I was very, how you call it, lost. I was very lost.
Pour moi toute seule, la nuit vient de tomber. Pour moi toute seule, le rêve a commencé.
And some years later, when the Nazis did take power in Germany, I could see what was coming. And I moved away to London, now married with one small child and another on the way.
La 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 la, je me parle tout bas. La 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 la, ne me dérangez pas. De la chaleur dans mon
But for some reason, I kept Couch's ring. I kept it locked in my office safe, along with some other very personal things. A final letter from my grandfather in Russia, and some other special things. All of it went up in flames during the Blitz, when the German Luftwaffe blanketed much of London with bombs, completely flattening my office building and the buildings around it. I never saw Katya again, but I never forgot her.
demain matin, je n'en sais rien, mais je suis bien, bien. Pour moi toute seule, l'amour vient d'arriver.
Fast as waves are the days of our life.
Restera-t-il demain matin? Je n'en sais rien, mais je suis bien.